Hello, and welcome to our DogBizPro help video series. In this video, we will be explaining how to manually schedule a registration for private training. Clients have the ability to register themselves online for private training, but if you ever wanted to manually register them for an appointment, you would just want to do the following. To start, you would just want to navigate to your training module by clicking on the module dropdown and selecting Training. Once inside, you would want to click on the Calendar tab in order to view your training module calendar. If you are scheduling from your training module calendar, you have a couple of options for scheduling. You can either click on a specific date right from this training module calendar, and that should open up a small menu. From this small menu, you could choose Schedule Private, and that would open up your Schedule Private Training window. You could also click the Schedule button on the top right of the calendar, and that would open up that same drop-down menu, and from that drop-down menu, you could choose Schedule Private, and again, it would open up that same Schedule Private Training window. From inside of this private training window, you're actually able to set up your private training appointment and assign it to a specific client. Inside of this window is the option drop-down box. This drop-down box will allow you to select a specific private training sign-up option for this appointment. So let's say I want to choose sign up A as my sign-up option. I could select that, and if you notice, it will populate over some values for me. The cost and the duration I actually set up in the admin module, so those default values will populate over for me. I'm able to change them here, but again, those are just the default values that will copy over. Next, you should be able to see an all-day event checkbox and a repeat checkbox showing. The all-day event checkbox will allow you to make this appointment run that entire day rather than just for a specific duration. The repeat checkbox will allow you to make this appointment set up to repeat. The next area showing is the client autofill box. If you want to assign a client to this private training appointment, you would just want to type the client's name in the client autofill box, select the results from down below, and that should assign the client to this specific private training appointment. After you have selected a client, you can now choose a dog from the dog dropdown and choose a specific dog for this private training appointment. As a reminder, only dogs that are set up to attend private training appointment will appear in this drop-down list. Next is the instructor and co-instructor drop-down boxes. If you wanted to assign an instructor to this private training appointment, you could click on the instructor drop-down box and then select an instructor from the list appearing down below. Next is the location drop-down. Here you can assign a specific location for this private training appointment. So if I wanted this appointment to be held at, say, training room A, I can select that. The next area showing is the cost text box. As I mentioned earlier, by default, this will likely have a value already populated into it based off the sign-up option that you had chosen. If for some reason you ever wanted to change the default cost, you could go ahead and do that right from this location here. So instead of being $10, I changed it to cost $15. The next section showing is the start and end date section. Here you're able to set a start and end date, and you're also able to set your starting time and ending time as well. Again, the duration will auto-populate over based off the sign-up option that was selected, but if you ever wanted to extend that, you could just extend the end duration out. Next is the block this time slot from online registration checkbox. This checkbox will allow you to actually block this time slot from online registration as long as there is a valid opening. So, if you had checked this checkbox and had an opening running at the same time with the same location and the same instructor set, then it would show booked for that time slot on the client registration portal. This means that no other client could sign up for that opening during that time slot. So again, if you wanted this to actually block out times on your opening calendar, you would just want to make sure that this checkbox is checked. Next is the title text box. Again, this will populate based off the sign up option that you have chosen, but if you ever wanted to change the name of your appointment, you could change that here. So let's say I just wanted to add test to this location, I could go ahead and do that, and it would update my title. Next is the details section. This details section will allow you to add extra information about the scheduled appointment. So if I wanted to add extra information, I could go ahead and do that here. I did want to mention that if you are setting up a repeating private training appointment, then you'll also see a recurring details section showing. If I check this repeat checkbox, here's the recurring details section that I'm referring to. The first option showing inside of this new section is the repeat drop-down box. This repeat drop-down box will allow you to set up how often this appointment repeats. So if you want it to repeat daily, weekly, monthly, you could go ahead and choose that here. For this example, we'll go ahead and choose weekly. And if you notice, an additional section will show saying repeat every blank weeks. If I wanted this to repeat every 2 weeks instead of 1, I could go ahead and change that to 2, and it's now set up to repeat every 2 weeks. You're also able to change the start date, the starting time, and the actual duration for this appointment as well. Lastly, you're able to set up how long this appointment will actually repeat for. The repeat indefinitely option will repeat this appointment until it is manually ended. The repeat until option will allow you to repeat this appointment until a specific date that you have selected. The repeat X times option will allow you to repeat this appointment a specific number of times. So let's say I wanted this appointment to repeat a total of 3 times. I could check the repeat radio button, change that from 1 to 3, and again it would be set up to repeat a total of 3 times. Below the recurring details section, you should be able to see an additional section that allows you to use a credit, use a prepayment, automatically create an invoice, etc. If a client had a valid credit on their account, you could check the Use Credit checkbox in order to actually apply a credit towards this registration. So again, if you wanted to apply a credit, you would want to do that right at the time of registration by clicking this Use Credit checkbox. Use Credit/Prepayment checkbox. If a client has a prepayment on their account, this checkbox will be showing, and if you wanted to apply that prepayment, you could actually check this checkbox, and that would actually apply that prepayment towards this registration. Next, you should be able to see a checkbox titled Automatically Create Invoice for this registration. You would want to check this checkbox if you wanted an invoice to be automatically created for this registration. If you did not check this checkbox, then that client's account would still be charged, but the charged transaction would not yet be attached to an invoice. So again, if you wanted to automatically create an invoice, you would just want to make sure to check that checkbox. The next checkbox showing is the automatically email the invoice for this registration checkbox. If you had checked this checkbox, it would allow you to actually automatically email that invoice out for this registration. So if you didn't want to have to manually email that invoice, you could check this checkbox and it would actually send that to the client's email address automatically. The last two drop-down boxes are for applying a discount and applying a payment to this registration. If you wanted to apply a discount, you could just click on the discount drop-down box and actually apply a discount. If you wanted to apply a payment, you could use the Apply Payment drop-down box and actually choose your method of payment in order to apply payment. Once you're finished, you could go ahead and click Save in order to actually create that registration. After you click Save, you should now be able to see that private training appointment appearing right on your training module calendar. Hopefully that helps and explains how to manually schedule a private training appointment.